elected portion is closed and the regular town council meeting is now in session. Madam Clerk, stop the meeting.
Lord, assist with thy Holy Spirit of counsel all those who are serving in positions of authority and responsibility.
This is the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Walter?
Here.
Ms. Alves? Mrs. Nadeau?
Present.
Mr. Zelinski?
Present.
Mr. Boucher?
Here. I'd like to move a couple items from the agenda. This is item number 8. The Smithfield Town Council stands as licensing board commissioners. This is our first item. If anybody has any objection to that?
Mr. President. Second, that's all.
Any second?
I second the motion.
Second by Councilman Rhode. Roll call, please.
Mr. Walter?
Yes.
Ms. Alves? Yes. Mrs. Nadeau?
Yes.
Mr. Zelinski?
Yes.
Mr. Boucher?
Yes. Okay, there's two individuals here tonight. Holiday sales licenses is Darby Nails Beauty Salon Spa and View Hall, Center of North Smithfield. Any demonstrants here in the audience?
He didn't hear you.
Okay. Are the parties here for View Hall Center of North Smithfield?
Yes.
Okay. Come to the podium, please.
Holiday license at 408 Eddie Down Highway.
Mr. President.
Yes, go ahead.
I'm overlooking looking over the paperwork for the application for holiday license. U-Haul Center of North Smithfield, located 408 Dowling Highway. You'll note that the building inspector signed off, fire marshal, tax collector, and also a BCI report has come back on Mr. Don O'Reilly. I would make a motion to approve holiday licensing for U-Haul Center of North Smithfield, Rhode Island, located at 408 Dowling Highway. A motion.
I second the motion.
Second by Councilman Alton. Roll call, please.
Mr. Walter?
Yes.
Ms. Alves? Yes. Mrs. Nadeau?
Yes.
Mr. Zelinski?
Yes.
Mr. Boucher?
Yes.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Next party is Darby Nails Beauty Salon and Spa. Is your name, please?
Can I share life for her?
Sure.
Her name is Cal. From David Beauty Salon Spa.
Okay, you're located at 7 Dowling Village. Your business is located at 7 Dowling Village?
Yes.
Question, Mr. President?
Questions?
May I ask a question?
Go ahead.
Entertaining questions? Yes. 7 Dowling Village, is that what building? That's right. Okay. Thank you.
Is there any more questions from all the councilors?
I actually do have a question. Right now, Darby Nails is closed.
We opened.
You reopened today? Okay. Under what nature were you closed for business?
Just
Can you ask again?
Why were you closed?
Because last week he failed inspection when I was in room cleaner for his her business, and today they came and they passed for inspection, and today she open.
Who came and failed and then,
Cái người mà the health department.
the health department?
Yeah.
Any verifications,
Do you have any documentation from the health department that you were given?
No.
Were you given any documentation by the health department that you were able to reopen?
Today she come in, she said,
Có đưa tại sao Lâm đưa cho heo đi khám?
họ inspection, mình không cần today, thì mình lên
Can you ask again?
Okay. Were the health inspector
Yeah.
that came to Davy Nails, did he give you anything? Did he hand you any papers saying that you have the right to reopen?
She don't give me the paper, but she say go online, you know, and she give me the open today.
No, she doesn't give her anything.
Mr. President, we have a small business person located in the town of North Smithfield. From what I'm gathering, was closed temporarily by the health department. The health department, did they issue a citation saying that you were closed? You had to stop business?
No, but just like
Yes or no? Wait, it's only one of you can answer.
No.
Either yes or no.
Nên
Eric, you get this?
yeah.
All right, I'm prepared to make a motion to pass your license contingent upon, meaning that you must show paperwork to the town administrator. Once the town administrator has a paperwork or acknowledgement of the health department, you'll be ready to operate your business. Okay? Is that fair, Mr. Solicitor, do you think?
Yes, do you want to send it to the clerk instead of the town administrator, or?
Yes.
The clerk.
Yes, thank you. So, in essence, when you leave here tonight, are you saying that this is on the website that you've been okayed? In the translation, I lost some of what you were saying. If not, good. Young man, I'm speaking to you, okay? I guess you're the interpreter, correct? No, to you. I'm speaking to you. Make sure that you check if it's on a website that you've been okay, beautiful. If not, get to the health department tomorrow, have a certification that is signed that you're okay, and give it to Madam Clerk, this lady at the end here, at the annex. And this, we're going to make a motion, see if it passes with council approval. Then you'll be able to open your doors. You cannot open your door without being approved. Like today, you should not have been open. Okay?
Okay.
All right. So we want you. Welcome. We want you to come back, but you have to follow the law.
I'm leaving now.
Nó nói là năm cái tối nay năm sẽ go đi online, năm sẽ go hand đi cảm ơn anh để sẽ ok đi năm sẽ đưa cái giấy tờ mà đó mà nó không được open cái bên năm không được open.
Thank you.
Mr. President, I'll make a motion that granting of the license application for Darby Nails Beauty Salon located at number 7 Downing Village be approved contingent upon paperwork that proves that they have passed the Rhode Board of Health, and be it provided to the town clerk. That's a motion.
Do I hear a second?
Second,
Second by Councilwoman
Nadeau.
excuse me, Nadeau. Get a front foot in my throat. It's tough being French.
Jesus, you be careful.
All right. Okay, roll call, please.
Mr. Alter?
Yes.
Ms. Alves? Yes. Mrs. Nadeau?
Yes.
Mr. Zalinski?
Yes.
Mr. Boucher?
Yes.
Okay.
Welcome to North Smithfield. Again. Okay, the second item I'd like to take is item agenda number 9, moving forward. The discussion on double business, discussion by council, voter action, participation agreement with partnership for Rhode Island Streetlight Management, PRISM, and authorization for signature.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the council. I know you've got quite an agenda. I'll be as brief as possible. And I have with me tonight Mr. George Woodbury. He's been helping us as an expert witness at the Public Utilities Commission on behalf of all of the municipalities in Rhode Island, and is here to say just a couple of words after I'm finished. For the record, I'm Jeff Broadhead, the Executive Director of the Washington County Regional Planning Council and the Executive Director of PRISM, which is the Partnership for Rhode Island Streetlight Management. 3 years ago, we realized that the towns were being charged perfectly legally, but were being charged too much for streetlights. In other words, it was a service that was just, the bills are higher than what the service is being provided. It is fully approved by the Public Utilities Commission. I'm not saying that National Grid is doing anything illegal or wrong. It's just that the costs are higher than they need to be. We researched it. It looked like the figure statewide was $2 or $3 million too high, which was enough to get our attention. We realized the only solution was to write legislation and force a change. We wrote the Municipal Streetlights Investment Act. It was passed by the legislature in the 2013 session. Governor Chafee signed it into law in July of 2013. And since then, we have been together with the League of Cities and Towns, the Office of Energy Resources, and the Energy Efficiency and Resource Management Council fighting National Grid at the Public Utilities Commission. Most of that work is complete. In August, they finished about 90% of it. And what they allow, there are 4 things that a community can do. None of this you have to do. Any community can continue to pay the bills to National Grid as they come in. So this is a voluntary program. You have 1,500 streetlights. What this legislation allows you to do is to purchase those lights from National Grid at the original cost, so whatever they paid for them, less depreciation. So your price is about $45 a streetlight. You're at the low end of the scale statewide. You're much luckier than Newport, whose average price is $400 per streetlight. But maybe not as lucky as Richmond, whose price is $20 a streetlight. But the price is a derivative of exactly what's out there in the field, so that's not a negotiated number. You're paying about $240,000 a year for that streetlight service. Now, with the reform that the Streetlights Investment Act allows is for you to not only purchase the lights, but then somebody's got to maintain them. And National Grid has been charging a lot of money for the maintenance. The partnership, which is simply, in the simplest terms, a buy-in club of municipalities. We gathered enough municipalities together to get the cheapest price on maintenance, and we can lower your price from $241,000 to about $122,000 a year, so just about half. Your savings are about $118,000 a year. What we're asking you to do tonight is the participation agreement, which would allow you to participate in PRISM. There is a small fee, $1 per street light to join. So yours would be $1,504. That does not begin to cover our costs. We've spent over $200,000 getting here so far, which has been supported partly by grants, partly by dues, partly by earned income. It's been a lot of work to get here, but we're now able to look town councils in the eye and say, yeah, we can save you the money that we thought we could, and more. Statewide, I told you, we thought it was $2 to $3 million. It turns out it's $8.1 million. The numbers that National Grid revealed at the Public Utilities Commission is that it costs them about $2.1 million to take care of the streetlights statewide. For that, they charge $10.2 million. So it's an $8.1 million overcharge, and we're fixing it. So your price per light will drop significantly. So your bill will drop to about half. There are 3 stages to the contract. The first one is it's called the preliminary plan, and that's where we take your real data, we take what your exact streetlights are, and we come up with a plan that says, this is your savings. It'll be pretty close to what I just questioned tonight. It'll be, within a few $1,000s, but it'll be a real number. At that point, you have no risk. You can say, thank you very much. And we're guaranteeing we'll get at least a 25% savings for you. If there's less than that, you can just walk away. If there's more than that, then you have the option to go to the second phase, where there is a small cost, which we don't know yet until we study phase 1. One of the costs that's likely to be in phase 2 is an audit of your lights to make sure, to have somebody go out in the field and look up at each light and make sure it's the wattage that's shown on the inventory from National Grid. We found that those inventories are about 10% off. There are lights on the inventory that don't exist in real life. There are also lights in real life that don't exist on the inventory. It's important if you're buying a system to know what you're buying. And at the end of that, we would be prepared to enter into the contracts with you for you to purchase the lights and then we would maintain them for you. This is maintenance only. It is not LED conversion. That is the next phase. If you choose, we'll show you the analysis that says you could save even more if you convert to LEDs. And that's part of the work under this participation agreement. The numbers I've shown you is just on maintenance, just reducing the maintenance to what it really costs, and we pass the costs straight through. Do you want to add anything, or okay? Are there any questions?
I have a question, Mr. President.
Yes.
You said for the preliminary plan, that's free, costs us nothing for you to go through and actually give us the raw data. If you can save us 25% or higher, we go on to stage 2, where there's a fee for stage 2, and we can't at that point back out?
No, you still can. You can terminate at any point. This is a voluntary program. First of all, there's no price for phase 1. There is the $1,500 charge.
Okay.
$1,504, okay, to enter into prison. That's an initiation fee. So that's a set fee. Once you're in it, we say we'll provide a 25% savings. There's no real penalty there. You can stop at that point whether or not we show the 25% savings. At the end of phase 2, though, if we don't show the 25% savings, you'd have to reimburse some of those expenses. And those expenses we would tell you before phase 2. We don't know what they are yet. They're not large. It's a study. If I have to go do some work, there's no charge for phase 2. But if we have to hire somebody, suppose you say you want a geocoding of the streetlight so that you can look on a GIS map of where each streetlight is and what it is. Because we'd have to hire a service to do that, and there's a charge of $10 or $12 per streetlight. You may not choose to do that, you may choose to do that. So I can't tell you at the beginning whether you need to do that. At the end of phase 1, you would be presented with a budget for phase 2, and you would say, yes, I want to do this, no, I don't want to do that, and yes, I want to do this. We'd be back at the council, and only the ones that you say, yes, you want to do, would we go ahead. So there may be no charge there, and there may be a charge. I just want to raise to your attention that there could be.
Mr. President, if I may. Councilman Nadeau just brought up a question to me. This was before us before. I looked at it favorably the last time out. Madam Administrator, do you care to share your thoughts because you will be administrating this? I just want to hear you. Yeah, torture me. Are you for this, Madam Administrator? Okay. You're not that? Okay. People are wishing I had your problem, right?
Mr. President, just for background for the folks here. In 1997, I passed similar legislation in Massachusetts when I was the Director of Public Works for the town of Lexington, Massachusetts. That was affirmed by the voters in 1998, and in 1999, after a year of negotiations with the Public Utilities Commission, Lexington, my community, was the first to purchase the streetlights. In 2001, I became a consultant, and since then I've helped almost 100 communities, not just in Massachusetts, but other parts of the country, take over their streetlights and do exactly what Jeff has made it possible for you to do. And I will tell you, and I didn't help him craft this legislation, although I did the legislation in Maine. He did a really, really good job because he considered things that we didn't consider in Massachusetts, thereby making this better legislation than what I did. This program has been hugely successful. The fact that nobody's heard anything about it in Massachusetts is a testimony to the fact that it's been hugely successful. And I look forward to the opportunity to help the communities of Rhode Island achieve the same savings and success that we've achieved in Massachusetts.
George mentioned he was a public works director. Prior to that, he had an entire career serving all of us in the Army, and he retired as a colonel in the Army, so he has served this country in many different ways.
Thank you. Mr. President, if there are no more questions from members,
If I may, Mr. President?
Yes.
I just want to point out a few things before you authorize this. If you want to go to page 8, compensation. As mentioned, it's $1 a street light. If you go to the next page, it does start talking about an administrative fee of $3.60 per street light. And then it talks about a 2% project administration fee. And I'm sure this is when we get into phases, but I just want to make sure that you are aware of what you're approving. And if you go to 9, Article 9, terms, it's a minimum 3-year term. So I didn't necessarily hear that, those items.
Would you like me to address those? That's a good question, and I apologize for leaving it. I was trying to keep it as short as possible, so I forgot. Those fees are not, your approval tonight does not lock you into those fees or into a 3-year anything. That is when we move to implementation. Once you have decided it's in the best interest of North Smithfield to purchase your lights, and you have then purchased them and eliminated the, you're currently spending $106 per light per year with National Grid just for maintenance. You eliminate that, that goes to 0. Somebody has to maintain the lights. So the $3.60 is our administrative fee to handle those maintenance contracts for people with the bucket trucks and the electricians. Our estimate is that your cost per light will not be $106 like it is now, it will be around $25. And so that's where the savings come from. So we do have a, once you get to that stage, and again, by then you will have been before this council 2 other times, at the end of the preliminary and at the end of the second phase. So you would have plenty of opportunity to say yes or no to any of these things. Only then would the 3-year contract begin. And that's just because it takes a while to get these. We want to make sure we have enough time to prove to you we can do a good job. That Rhode Island contractors who have not been doing this work before but are now getting certified to do it can do a good job. The only time that the contract could be longer than that is if you choose to do an LED conversion and there's a 10-year warranty period, that the best price comes when you do your own installation of a warranty work and they provide the material. So in that case, you have the option of perhaps a 10-year contract. But again, that's at your option. Later, we'll present you with those options and we'll say yea or nay.
Any more questions, listener?
Mr. President, I understand what you're saying, but that's not what this agreement says. I mean, it says the participation agreement will begin upon execution, which is signing, and we'll have a minimum 3-year term. Now, if we want to strike out things, if you're in agreement with it, or if the council wants to get to a 3-year agreement, that's fine.
Okay, it's 3 years, but there's no work to be done except the study in phase 1 until you agree to phase 2, which is the cost of money in phase 3. So I think that's, I'm happy to change that. That's not the intention of what it means.
Okay. Because during the 3 years, you can charge $3.60 per street light per year.
I'm not improving the plan. But if the language is such, then we need to check the.
Okay.
So perhaps you could approve it if you so choose, subject to the attorney and I finessing the language.
Because we're looking at $5,400 for the lights, roughly. I did 1,500 lights, and it's $5,400. Not, you know, God, you're gonna quote me, it's not a lot of money. Yes, it is a lot of money, but in the scope of things of saving money. So, Mr. President, I would like to make a motion that we continue this to allow the town solicitor, Mr. Lombardi?
Yes.
Mr. Lombardi?
Yes.
Would you be amenable to having more time to look at this and to come up with your interpretation of this contract?
I think that if you were to just strike some language out of here, if we're in agreement, you can just strike it. Or
Okay.
strike the term out.
Would you need time to do that, Mr. Lombardi, like a 5-minute recess, or us move on to other items on the agenda?
It'll take me 5 minutes, but if you want to move on, I'll get back to it. You can come back to it if you want. I don't know. I think it's important that you want to.
work with you on that.
Okay.
Well-
Mr. President, I'd like to take, to take a break and come back to it on the agenda. I'd like to provide the town solicitor time to discuss this and also to make sure that Mr. Broadhead and town of North Smithfield will be in line in sync for this. I'd like to make a motion that we just continue this further on in the agenda.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Councilwoman Alves.
Mr. President, if you just want to maybe lay it on the table, and then we can take it off the table, rather than later on the agenda.
Yeah, so what were you saying?
I'm going to lay on a motion to lay it on the table.
To lay it on the, okay, I want to amend that motion to lay it on the table.
Chair seconds. Right on the table.
Second. Mr. Alton?
Yes.
Ms. Alves? Yes. Mrs. Nadeau?
Yes.
Mr. Swansky?
Yes.
Mr. Boucher?
Yes. Can we take item number 4, the ordinance amendment, one-way streets? Sure. Next was it, Happy Road, Lori?
Boucher? I had this email from Ms. Hamilton last week, which I totally did not see, but this was from the town manager of Barville, and I just wanted to pass it up. They have no problem with that.
Perfect.
They were asked last week.
Sure, absolutely.
Mr. President, regarding Article 4, Ordinance Amendment, RE one-way streets, we have a public hearing. I'd like to make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
Second by Councilwoman Alves. Roll call vote to close the public hearing.
Mr. Alton?
Yes.
Ms. Alves? Yes. Mrs. Nadeau?
Yes.
Mr. Swansky?
Yes.
Mr. Boucher?
Yes.
Mr. President, following up on it, now that we've closed the public hearing, we have received, one of the concerns of the council last time is that the town of Barville have a chance to review the traffic report, and Administrator Hamilton has received paperwork from Manager Michael Wood of Barville saying that the town council voted last night to receive and file, meaning they have no objection as a board to the proposed change, making it a one-way heading east. So entrance would be, only heading east would be the direction of traffic over there. So the police department of Barville is in complete support. Our police department has looked at it, said they had concerns. Rhode Island Department of Transportation has looked at it, said they had concerns. Meanwhile, Mr. Jason Rich has lived with this for a number of years. trucks up on his driveway and unsafe kids. I was out there, everybody's ever been out there, and it's just as unsafe. The only thing I'd like to add to, I'm going to make a motion to approve turning Mallory Road into a one-way, but I would just like to add that the administrator contact Rhode Island Department of Transportation to make sure the proper signage heading north, which I believe most of the traffic would come from, is in place by Rhode Island Department of Transportation. Also heading south, because I heard Mr. Rich say the other night that people heading south do take that turn as well. So as long as the state road is adequately marked, informing drivers well in advance that, no, don't come down here, I would make that motion to approve this. That's a motion.
Second.
Councilman Nadeau?
Unless I'm confused, I know that you closed the public hearing. Did you ever open it? I mean, was the public allowed to speak on this?
Oh, forgive me, no. In my zeal to approve this.
So,
Okay, we'll reopen the public hearing.
Yeah.
oh, wait, you got a motion on the floor, so withdraw the motion.
Okay, I withdraw my motion to close the public meeting.
Seconded.
Sorry, Mr. President.
Okay, does anybody wish to speak concerning this matter?
We're going to vote. All those in favor of bringing it back on? Yes.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I'm sorry, that
Motion
question.
carries. Would anybody like to speak in this matter concerning this?
Mr. President, seeming that no one wishes to speak to this matter, may I make the motion to close the public meeting?
Motion on the floor?
Second.
Second by Councilwoman Adams. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it. Motion carries.
Mr. President, if I may make a motion to approve Mallory Road becoming one-way, and that proper sign that the town administrator contact Rhode Island Department of Transportation to make sure that adequate signing. And possibly we can use ask the chief if he can use our billboard that's up there, that flashing billboard going too fast, click it or ticket, that type of stuff. It's going to take an educational program, so folks for years have been turning down this, so we're going to have to make this safe. So maybe our police department can use that sign for a while, tell them when it's going to be turned into a one-way road, and that's pretty important too, you just can't do it overnight. So I would make, further in that motion to also allow the chief of police and his safety officer to decide what is required, how many days before it turns into a one-way road.
Motion on the floor?
Second.
Second by Councilwoman Adams. Any more discussion? Okay, roll call, please.
Mr. Walton?
Yes.
Ms. Alves? Yes. Mrs. Nadeau?
Yes.
Mr. Smolenski?
Yes.
Mr. Boucher?
Yes. Next one is Nadeau Road. There's two, but it reflects also.
That's just the other one right now. That's what we're required by the ordinance.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. So therefore, they're adding this to it, so we'll take it, what it says, we'll take effect on passage. Yeah, it does say that. According to the town charter. One of the question I had is that for the signage to be placed on the highways, just, on this
my memory serves me well, when Smithfield Road, old Smithfield Road, the section behind the Honda dealership was closed, it had, because it was a Rhode Island state road, it required a certain amount of notification for traffic. So, okay, if it takes passage, then I think that'll be their determination. Okay, me neither. But I remember that we had to advertise it, we had to have signage up, RIDOT brought in those, heading north after you came off 99 or heading north on 146, there was signage there saying this road will be turned into a one-way on such and such a day. So that's okay. I mean, it's passed, it's one way. But I think we should do some type of educational program because people are going to be flying through there. Now, can you imagine someone waiting, there's a car heading south and you're heading north and you go, oh, I can beat that car, and all of a sudden you see that one-way sign, or, you know, it's, could be ugly.
No harm in that, for sure. That's the chief.
Yeah.
May I say something? I'll try anyway.
I'm getting out of here right now.
Jason Bridge, 45 Douglas Pike. Just a couple of years ago, Lampia Road, off of Great Road, was made into a one-way. I would assume that we already have a fairly good idea from that one in particular, what was necessary. I just want to remind you of that. Thank you.
And what was it? Did we put signage up and tell folks it? Okay. What?
I think she said a few days.
2 days before.
Thank you.
I gotta enjoy this because it's the only chance I get to talk to Administrator Hamilton and I don't get feedback, so.
It's passed.
Mr. President, whenever you want to take up that other item, or take it off the table, I'm taking it whenever you want.
Motion to take,
To remove from laying it on the table. Bring it, pick it back up.
table,
Put it back
table
on.
motion.
Never heard it expressed that way, but I'm learning.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Councilwoman Nadeau. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it. Go, Councilor.
Mr. President, I think that when we're back on the prison matter, if you go to page 9 and you go from, it's going to be a statement before participants and all the way down to the end of Article 9. And it's going to have a statement similar to upon adoption of Phase 3. Which is a separate.
Article 9 the term, correct?
The term is right, but starting at the second sentence where participants agree to compensate prison, so that whole section, we're going to separate out and use language similar to upon adoption of Phase 3. The following, and that's this language in here, shall apply, which is separately approved by the town council, which will be separately approved by the town council. So they'll have to come back to you to get approval during Phase 3 for this to apply. And that's from that participants' agreement to compensate prison all the way down to the bottom of Article 9 terms.
Mr. President, to the solicitor.
Yes.
Shall apply and will require council approval. It just will. It was a little open there.
Shall apply, which is separately approved by the town council.
Okay, so separately, okay, thanks.
Maybe will be.
Maybe. I mean, it's the council's discretion.
Oh, will, if it says will require,
Will
then
require, I
we'll
think
have
it's
to
better
come
language.
before council for a vote. So if somehow we can just tighten it up a wee bit by saying will require council approval phase.
Upon reviewing this language, if the council agrees to that and passes it, upon reviewing this language, I will advise the town administrator that she can sign it.
Okay, yeah, but have we, from you, as the solicitor, if I can have that verbiage, upon adoption of phase 2 for the following, shall apply and will require council approval. Does that make sense?
I have in which will require separately approved by the council.
Separate approval by, okay, that's fine, it requires an approval.
Right.
All right, thank you for humoring me. And then we can take the issue as a separate, we can speak about the administrator being given the authority to sign this.
Correct.
Yeah.
As amended.
As amended.
Is there any more questions? Also, is there a motion?
Yeah, I'll make that, just got to
Sorry, thanks. I don't know, just like losing my voice.
It may be an air quality issue. No, you're my buffer. You Mr. President, if, with the indulgence of town council, I'll try to muddle my way through a motion here. What was the item? What was the agenda item on this?
9.
9. Thank you. Okay.
Or business.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion to approve the agreement between the town of North Smithfield Prison, the partnership with Rhode Island Street Management, with the following stipulations to the agreement, that on page 9, beginning in front of this first full paragraph, or the 4th line down, to be amended to read, upon adoption of phase 2, the following shall apply and will require separate approval of town councils. That will continue down and through the end of Article 9 term. So if we can handle that one motion, I think we could kind of straighten that out. And I'll ask for a motion to authorize the administrator.
Is that correct, Council?
Yes.
Okay.
So that was my motion. Madam Clerk, did you say that? Okay.
Second.
Second by Councilwoman Nadeau. Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Alton?
Yes.
Ms. Alves? Yes. Mrs. Nadeau?
Yes.
Mr. Zalinski?
Yes.
Mr. Boucher?
Yes.
Mr. President, following that approval with the folks, with amendments or additions, I can't speak. You have a voice and I can't articulate. What's wrong here? Following that changes to the contract, I would like to make a motion to authorize the town administrator to approve this contract to the verbiage just added throughout it.
Okay, motion on the floor. Second.
Second.
Second by Councilwoman Alves. Roll call, please.
Mr. Alton?
Yes.
Ms. Alves? Yes. Mrs. Nadeau?
Yes.
Mr. Zalinski?
Yes.
Mr. Boucher?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm going to stick with my voice.
Maybe.
I'm worried that everybody comes out.
I gotta stay hydrated. I gotta sit over here, right?
Okay, I'd like to ask the council to take item 6. Item agenda number 5, Madam Clerk. Excuse me, public hearing aspect of the ordinance for the Public Buildings Improvement Commission.
Mr. President, you're in public hearing, so do you want to take comment?
Yes.
You can't make any motions during public comment, just so you know.
Thank you, Councilor. Is there any comment concerning the Public Building Improvement Commission?
Could you explain what it is?
Okay, this is it's to administer the bonds that were approved by the voters on in the last election cycle.
Okay.
For school buildings and the like. This will set up the criteria for the various individuals who will serve on it, as well as there's also a clerk of the works
Yes.
involved in this as well.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else wish to speak?
If I could just make a little something, Van. The last meeting we discussed this, there were some changes that this council voted to amend, and whereas the ex officios, as the police officer and the superintendent of the schools shall be non-voting members. So basically what it comes down to is either appointed people or elected folks will be making, not people on staff. So that was one of the changes that we asked for. With any of the other changes that we, who handled this, the changes to the?
I did. There was one other change where we asked for there to be a designated clerk of the works.
Thank you, Councilor Nadeau, for doing that. Mr. Soares, do you have a copy of this? Would you like mine? Yeah, absolutely.
I would. You have that?
Well, yeah, you take mine. The one I just received, this is the amended version.
Mr. Solicitor, do you have a copy of the clerk of the works?
Yes.
Separate from what we have in our hands?
Yes.
Okay. Can't talk about that yet.
Okay. If there's no more questions, we'll close the public hearing. Also, is there any discussion?
We close the public hearing.
You just close the public hearing. Okay. I'll call the vote, please. Closing the public.
Mr. President, I was kind of daydreaming. Did we have a motion to close it? And then was
Motion
there a
to close public hearing.
Second?
Your roll call vote?
Walter?
Yes.
Ms. Ellis? Yes. Ms. Nato?
Yes.
Mr. Swansky?
Yes.
Mr. Boucher?
Yes. So we'll have we can have a discussion on the item. Any discussion on the changes?
The changes that were requested were written in by Mr. Solicitor to request a clerk of the works.
Just adds, on the second page, the language from the last meeting.
page 2, section 1, now reads, "The commission shall be responsible for overseeing the project with the assistance of the clerk of the works if applicable, and advising the town council on the implementation of public facilities improvement plan, and to prepare such recommendations and advice for action by the council, which, however, shall be non-binding on the town council, and which recommendations shall include," just to be okay. Yeah, because it doesn't take forever. The only addition on the document is the verbiage "with the assistance of the clerk of the works if applicable."
Councilwoman, you're making that motion?
I am making that motion to include that into the Public Building Improvement Commission document.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Zawinski. Any discussion? Okay, roll call, please.
Mr. Alter?
Yes.
Ms. Alves? Mrs. Nadeau?
Yes.
Ms. Walensky?
Yes.
Mr. Boucher?
Yes. We need a vote to approve the amended version.
So moved.
Second. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Alves. Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Alter?
Yes.
Ms. Alves? Yes. Mrs. Nadeau?
Yes.
Mr. Walensky?
Yes.
Mr. Boucher?
Yes. Motion passes. Is this the second?
Oh, this is gonna be good.
Implementation.
I'm sorry, I can't hear.
Who's gonna choose?
Who's going to choose?
Who's gonna choose?
the people on these committees.
The town council. When? That's a good question. The floor is open to anyone who wants to volunteer to join. There are a few people that we have in mind. We are looking for 4 residents of the town.
Is there going to be a notification in the Valley Breeze or
That's
something?
what I was just about to ask the solicitor, if we do, to advertise, if it could be advertised.
Well, it can be advertised, it doesn't have to. But you can't make appointments tonight, you just put it on the agenda and follow choose the victim. You can do that. Right, now you can. I hear the town administrator saying that she got the press release together.
I think I'd like to see that. I believe it would be best if it was advertised, if people had the opportunity to come forward on this critical board. I'm hoping people would come from the building trades to assist us in this endeavor. Yeah, I'll make the motion. Make the motion that be advertised in the newspaper. These positions, which are forthwith in the building improvement for the membership comprised of this board. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilwoman Nadeau. Any discussion? None so? Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Alter?
Yes.
Ms. Alves? Yes. Mrs. Nadeau?
Yes.
Mr. Zawinski?
Yes.
Mr. Boucher?
Yes. Motion passes. Item number 6. Madam Clerk.
Consent agenda generally, it's just, you ask if they have anything they want to remove from the consent agenda.
Can a comment be made on one item of the consent agenda? On the consent agenda?
You want to remove that from the consent agenda, then you can discuss it later.
Yes, I'd like to discuss the resolutions concerning Rhode, Rhode Island.
Mr. President, we represent the Raleigh. Let's get the bejesus out of here. Was there a student under here for how many years? Oh,
That was the Wonder Pets.
huh?
That was the Wonder Pets.
Is that like, I'm out of the loop here.
Little
Barney and Thomas the Tank Engine, when my kids were coming. The Wonder Pets, huh? Okay.
I guess,
It sounds a
I
little
guess we
creepy.
also have to remove 7 as well. Even with the road map on Allen, 6 and 7.
Mr. President, if I may, I ask for specific item to be removed. The town council minutes of September 15th and the planning board minutes of November 20th.
Motion on the floor?
Second? I'm sorry, did you say you made, I make a motion? I thought you.
I'll second your motion.
Okay.
Roll call, please.
McDaniel?
Yes.
Mr. Older?
Yes.
Ms. Alves? Yes. Mrs. Nadeau?
Yes.
Mrs. Walensky?
Yes.
Mr. Boucher?
Yes.
Mr. President, generally, you just remove them and then vote on the balance.
All right, so, so if we're talking about numbers with 2 and 4, I'm sorry, 2 and 3?
You talking about what I asked to have removed?
Yes.
Discussion, the acceptance of town council minutes for September 15th, which is B, 6B,
I'm sorry.
and under 6C subsection 3, planning board minutes for October 20th, excuse me, November 20th.
Mr. President?
Yes.
Generally take a motion to accept the rest of the meeting.
Okay, so we're taking those 2 off the consent agenda, as well as, I guess, 6 and 7, with the resolution to road map, dealing with road map for Allen. As well, may I have a motion, may I have a motion on the floor to remove 6 and 7 off the consent agenda?
So
You
moved.
already have that, but you need to approve the rest of the
Okay,
consent agenda.
all right, fine. Given those items that have been removed from the consent agenda, I'm going to make a motion that we accept the balance of these in total. Second?
Second.
Second by Councilwoman Alves. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Alter?
Yes.
Ms. Alves? Yes. Mrs. Nadeau?
Yes.
Mr. Zawinski?
Yes.
Mr. Boucher?
Yes. So removed. Okay. Can we go to the following? Jeez.
Mr. President,
Yes, I'm sorry.
if I may, generally you'll sign off on the bills, each one will initial the bills, the original.
That happens while they're going through this, it just comes down where they go to the back end. Council members, I ask that the town council minutes of September 15th be removed for discussion. If you'd be so kind to flip to the second page of September 15, 2014 minutes. Roughly a little past halfway down, you see public hearing zoning amendment, D. Jerry. You'll see a motion, and I want to draw your attention to the last couple of sentences down there. It gives the lot, plat, lot, number, whatnot. You know what, I might as well just read it for the record. Motion by Mr. Yazbek, second by Mr. McGee and Mr. Swolenski, and voted unanimously on a roll call vote to approve the petition to rezone the property described as Assessors Plat 4, lots 433 and 102, located on Main Street from the current zoning designation of rural agriculture, RA, to a new zoning designation of urban residential, RU. Now, this is where I want to draw the attention. With the stipulation that a 25-foot natural buffer area be maintained on the 3 sides that are not fronting Main Street to create one new housing lot. That was the motion, that's what was passed. That was the stipulation for the granting of the zone change. Now, if I may bring you over to the planning board minutes of November 20th. Kind enough to go to the 3rd page. you'll see at the top, it's bolded, the agenda is primary plan, minor subdivision plan for Beverly and Jerry. The narration down, Mr. Erickson noted that the plan complied with the town council's restriction on rezoning, namely a 20-foot buffer as shown on whose side of the plan in a single-family house. Both lots have water and sewer. I just wanted to make sure that it was mentioned there that the restrictions, the zoning was changed to reflect a 25-foot buffer. So I don't know if that's going to require the planning board to take a look at this again, or at least with other. Mr. Chairman, Mr. Nail, how are you? So basically, the zone was changed so that it was a 25-foot buffer, not a 20-foot buffer.
We'll just have to change it over time, it's not a...
Yeah. No,
Thanks for pointing it out.
that's all. Just through the process, make sure it's 25 foot. That addresses what I had, Mr. President.
The other we want to discuss is the resolutions for roadmap Rhode Island to town of Forster, Hopkinton, Portsmouth, Situate, Tiverton, and also the town of East Rhode. These communities wanted more time to deal with this roadmap, but I personally feel it's an intrusion on local communities, that the state wants to basically usurp our zoning codes, and personally, I just feel it's in front of our communities. I know the House Speaker says that he is in favor of this anyway, but the fact is that I wouldn't even venture personally to even reconsider this roadmap. To me, it's the road to nowhere. And I just hope that others will consider voicing their opinions concerning this particular item for the future of our town.
Mr. President?
Yes.
I just wanted to point out that the roadmap document was unanimously approved by the State Planning Council and is now part of the state guide plan, where it really has no direct effect. And it raises the issue of, in the comp plan, you want to get state approval or not. In the last comp plan, they rejected the plan because it did not have high enough density by right. We did not zone with a high enough density by right. And for other reasons, we chose not to get state approval because there was no penalty for it. You don't lose out on any grants. The only thing that happens is if the state has a project in your town, they have to abide by your comp plan. But your state legislators will take care of that for you. So I just want you to be aware that going forward in the spring, we will be submitting a comp plan to the planning board. And the question is, do we want to deal with the issues in the roadmap that are controversial? I'd offer you that as an option at this point.
Personally, I just found this roadmap offensive. I remember years ago with the statewide planning council came up with something, and basically what it did was that it basically wants all the development surrounding the metropolitan province area. And I remember when I was a state representative, we had to intervene to get the BISCO to come to North Smithfield. And so I'm just saying is I just don't like the big brother provisos, and to say somebody can through the statewide plan usurp our zoning ordinances and the like. It's sort of like years ago with the group homes. They get a state license and they come in here and boom, all of a sudden, we didn't approve this. There was state licensure, and And the fact is, I just don't like the state intruding on our sovereignty.
Yes, I understand your point. The Economic Development Commission for the town pointed out that North Smithfield is on both sides of the urban service corridor line. It's a line that's not very well known, but one side is the urban area and the other side is the non-urban area. And the comment from the EDC was that it didn't provide equity between the two because it did not list maintenance of roads and bridges as a high priority. Therefore, the rural side of it got short shrift compared to the urban side. And that's going to be the tug of war, I think, going forward.
Thank you. Because those items that were just addressed, I'd like to have those items accepted at this time.
So moved.
Moved by Councilman Zawinski, seconded by the chair. Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Olga?
Yes.
Ms. Alves? Mrs. Nadeau?
Yes.
Mr. Zalinski?
Yes.
Mr. Boucher?
Yes. Item number 10 on the docket, Madam Chair, Madam Clerk. New business.
Mr. President, I take it we're up.
Yes.
Joel Jolson, 14 Lincoln Drive, North Smithfield Fire Chief.
Yes.
My cohort is Braden Brown, the Deputy Fire Chief. We're here tonight to seek your authorization to purchase a new rescue vehicle for the town of North Smithfield. For the last 8 months, we've had an apparatus committee looking at specifications, looking at various vendors, bidding processes. I actually joined the Massachusetts Fire Chiefs Association for $100, and in turn, we saved $5,000 on the bid. We were able to latch on to a collective purchasing agreement with the state of Massachusetts, which obviously has a lot more buying power than Rhode Island or us individually. So we're here tonight, one, to express the need, two, to express the work and research that we've done, and three, and most importantly, to relieve you of a revenue source. We're here to tell you that it will cost this town not a dollar. There are accrued funds solely set aside for vehicle replacement in a revolving program. So the money is under the auspices of the town of North Smithfield through the finance director's office in conjunction with the fire department. What the new council members don't know, and I'm not going to be long-winded because you're inundated with a bunch of information, but the town of North Smithfield owns the fire apparatus. Firefighters are private citizens, don't work for the town of North Smithfield. In our course of our rescue calls, we provide a billing service to a third party, and those monies accrue over a period of time, and they have been doing that since 1998. So in my tenure, which is almost 15 years here in town, not a dollar has been spent out of the town coffers to replace fire or rescue vehicles. It's a huge assist to both the town and to us. So that's kind of a capsulization in a nutshell of the need is there, the work has been done. We're asking for your authorization and your signing off to allow us, through the town administrator, who obviously is the public safety director, to make an appropriate purchase consistent with, one, that we've met all guidelines, laws, and ethics, and that we've done the appropriate research, and we have that to prove. To prove it to you now would take hours. It's nothing that we haven't done many times before to replace other rescue vehicles or an occasional fire apparatus, which is done less frequently. So we're asking for the sum of $245,000 So that includes a trade-in of another backup vehicle. That includes the radio installation. That's soup to nuts. We didn't buy a Cadillac, but we didn't buy a Ford Taurus, or we'd like not to buy a Ford Taurus. The shelf life of a rescue is roughly 5 to 7 years and or 100,000 miles. The truck we're asking you to replace is 8 years old, and before the new one, should you agree to buy, comes in, it'll be 9 years old with close to 150,000 miles. So it's lived its life expectancy. It's time to evolve and purchase another one, at least in our personal and professional opinion.
Thank you, Chief.
So if you have some technical questions, the deputies worked for 8 months with 4 other firefighters. I'm just developing the specifications. He can answer any technical question you may have. I just tried to give you a little philosophical capsulization of what our need is.
No, it's sort of like with the police department, and they have a revolving fund too.
Yes, but that comes out of the actual general fund taxpayers. This is very unique to North Smithfield.
That's because it's contracted services, I understand.
Correct,
I understand.
correct. The town owns the vehicles, which allows us to bill. We have the provider numbers, which allows us to bill, but we must bill collectively. Neither can do it individually. Without the trucks, we can't transport, therefore you can't bill. Without our federal Medicare ID numbers, the town can't bill. So we're kind of in bed together, and most often in a good way. Whatever that means.
Safe to say, Chief, we're in the truck together.
Yeah, I'll take that.
So, if I may, Mr. President. Chief, so it's going to be $245,014 for a turnkey, put the key in, we're rolling with light bars and everything.
That's correct.
Okay.
And we're willing to sit with, obviously, and review the specifications, review the billing processes, cite the examples of discounts and why this may be a little more and the next item a little less. I think they've done an admirable job. I publicly commend the deputy for leading that. It's a lot of work.
Well, the only question I may have is that, does this meet or exceed your needs?
It'll definitely meet our needs. And the need is continuing. As this truck is purchased, and I suspect it will, we need the trucks, or the town needs the trucks. You know, there's another one on the horizon in 3 years. But in between that, we're bringing in a goodly sum of money annually. Keep in mind that we've, in a written agreement form, every dollar that comes in through third-party billing, 50% goes directly to your general fund. The other 50% stays in account to be used solely for EMS-related activities and, most importantly, vehicle replacement in the future. So it's a self-perpetuating, self-fulfilling fund that serves both our needs. One, for you to have $250,000 a year to do what you see fit, and us to ensure that we've got proper supplies, proper repairs, costs taken care of, training, and most importantly, vehicle replacement as needed.
No, I just want to make sure, Chief, that you have everything that you need. That's what I'm concerned about, nothing more.
The town has been very good to us, and we in turn try to do the same. We've got good equipment, good people, and hopefully we provide a pretty doggone good service.
Thank you, Chief Susan.
Mr. President, if there's no further questions, I'd like to make a motion to time. President, I'd like to make a motion to authorize purchase a rescue vehicle that will replace the existing Rescue 2 in the amount of $245,014.
Second by Councilman Alter. Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Alter?
Yes.
Ms. Alves? Yes. Mrs. Nadeau?
Yes.
Mr. Swansky?
Yes.
Mr. Boucher?
Yes. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you. Thank you. See you.
Item B, any business?
James.
Thank you.
That's what I'm going to speak to this matter.
Is there anyone here to speak to this matter concerning the Dowling Highway, 63, 67, and 69 to 75 Dowling Highway?
Hi, yes, good evening all. Hi, my name is Bill Gasparo. I'm the property owner of those two addresses. I first wanted to say thank you to the president, the council, ladies and gentlemen, for your time this evening. I know it's late and everybody's got full agendas, but again, thank you. The second thing I'd like to say to this council and jointly to all the people here is a thank you. You have been wonderful. Whatever happens here tonight happens. You've been wonderful to deal with as a town. I appreciate that very much. So I'm coming here with my hat in hand, so to speak. I'm asking for something I think is reasonable, and I'm hoping the council will look at it that way. But no matter what they decide, I have to tell you and the town, thank you for all the past considerations. It's been a pleasure doing business and operating a building in your town. This is an appeal from a 2014 determination by the sewer superintendent's office that the EDUs that we had been previously charged on the property were in fact improper and should be assessed much higher. In approximately 2007, we came before this, the town council, and had come before prior James Jeremiah, the expert for the town, and the sewer commission. And during those three different processes, it was determined that the proper EDU configuration for these two properties, one is Park Square Medical Center, which is a medical center, very close, right on Dowling Highway. And the next one is a building directly on the side of that. Right between the Wendy's and Park Square Medical Center is a small building, a gray building, and that's the second of these properties. We had come before all the groups, and it had been determined that the proper EDU configuration at that time was 5 for Park Square Medical Center and 2 for the smaller property. At this point, I'd like to bring a typo, an inadvertent typo to your attention. I had a writing to the sewer commission. I hadn't noticed at the time, but in that writing dated November 11th, 2014, in which I think Maura Beck has given you a copy, very graciously giving you a copy. There's a typo on page 4 of the second paragraph. The third line indicates that it was 3 EDUs. That is improper. It should be 5 EDUs. That's going back to what the standard was that we had been found to have the number of EDUs in Park Square Medical Center. When I got the new sewer assessment bill, I contacted Ms. Beck and Mr. Carpenter and met with them. They were very gracious and went over all their calculations. And I think inadvertently something had happened in the calculations. What I believe happened, through no fault of anyone, I believe the sewer superintendent's office had gone to the building, spoken to tenants there, their employees, to determine how many people are in any of these units at any particular time, because the method is kind of convoluted. The town goes by EDUs, which is now OPS, OWTS, of DEM. It's a way of figuring out, the best I can understand it, it's a way of figuring out what your maximum sewer usage would be if you were building or rehabbing a property that had an individual septic system on the property, not going to a public septic system. So they try to get the maximum of everything, and there's all sorts of categories. For instance, a doctor is 250 gallons per day. And that's how many days the doctor is on board, each doctor. A dentist is 200 gallons per chair. An employee, if that is a health person or a health facility, is 15 gallons per person per day. and there's another standard in the OWTS, again, 15 gallons per person per day. So at first I determined what could have happened. How could we have come up with such a discrepancy between the sewer commissioner and my own calculations? And I realized, inadvertently I believe, that when that question was asked to the secretarial staff or to the doctor's staff, how many doctors and how many people are here, they gave them X amount of doctors for each of these units and X amount of employees. But one thing they didn't say is how many days a week that doctor is there. Many of our doctors are there 1 or 2 days a week. A few of them 4 or 5. But in most cases, these are satellite offices with doctors being at 1 or 2 other locations during the week as well. The same with their employees. So I started to go back and say, okay, if there's something wrong in the calculations of the sewer commissioner, then let me figure out how many doctors we've got on board and how many employees for how many days of the week so I can figure this out. So I spoke to each doctor or their employees and said, give me a breakdown exactly what there is every day. And I put that in my writing. It's actually a chart in there, and I'm fortunate enough to be able to find it at this point. I think it's on page 6, and it identifies with particularity all of the different doctors' offices and the gallons used and the amount of days that employees are there or doctors are there. And the right column is a running calculation of gallons because ultimately all this is determined in gallons per day. And I also took it, and the standard is different, as I said, for some of these it's 15 gallons per employee per day. The doctors, 250 gallons per day per doctor. The dentist, which there is a dentist there, 200 gallons per day per chair. I figured all that out, and it came to approximately 5.2 EDUs. Now, the way an EDU is calculated by the best I could figure out from the town and from the rules of the town is 345 gallons per day. Everything on EDUs is based per day. So I took that number that I had gotten, 1,796.8 gallons being used in the large building per day on these calculations, and I divided that by 345. That came to 5.2 EDUs. In all of these calculations, I wanted to make sure that I gave every benefit to the town. I thought that was inherently fair, and it would be unfair if I took benefits or liberties. So for instance, when we went to the licensed clinical, their clinical licensed people, they're not therapists. I went to them and said, are you a therapist? They said, no, we're not. Nonetheless, I counted them in the high category of water usage for therapists. I said, let me push this all in every case upwards to benefit the town and increase the water usage. We did the same. One of them, urgent care, has also got Biltmore Medical. After talking to them, there's one doctor that's between the two of them. But I said, how do I represent one doctor between the two? I said, let me show one doctor with urgent care and one with Biltmore Medical, even though that's not the case. But that increased us another 250 gallons per day for that other doctor that's not there and invisible. In all these regards, I did the same type of calculations. In the smaller building, we had figured that out as well. The smaller building only has 4 tenants. We figured out their usage as well. That one of them is a dance studio, so we figured it 15 gallons per student per day. Even though many of those students don't go there every day, I still took all their students and just calculated them on a per day basis. That came to 1.1 EDUs. Another way to calculate this, and I'm sorry I'm taking time, especially the time of this group and the council. I apologize for that. This is somewhat difficult for me to kind of convey and get through. The first time was the sewer commissioner's calculations. The second one was the EDUs by DEM, OWTS. The third calculation, in my prior speaking years ago with DEM and with Jim Jeremiah, it seemed to be everybody was saying, hey, if you've got actual water usage charges that show the gallons, then you should use those because those are the most fair and equitable way of showing your true usage. Well, at Park Square Medical, the bigger building, we buy the water from Woonsocket. We do get billed quarterly. So I went to the last 10 quarters, 28 months of use, and calculated those out for a third way of processing this. And I showed that on page, I believe, 10. Actually, I take that back. It's page 8 and then page 10 on the calculations. Now, one thing about our water use, and you will see it if you look at page 8, on May 16, 2012, on May 12, 2013, and on May 17, 2014, every one of those bills spiked from 3,000 or 4,000 gallons during that billing period up to 11,000 or 12,000 gallons. The reason they do that is we have a water sprinkler system, and we don't know how much water is being put on the grass, but obviously it shows every one of these periods, the water use goes way up. I did not try to figure out, because this doesn't go back into the sewer system, I didn't try to manipulate the numbers in any way and say, well, I shouldn't really be charged for that. I'm saying charge me for everything that we think is reasonable here. So I put all those numbers into the mix fully. That came to 1.7. So there's 3 different standards. There's also a 4th standard, which seemed to be a hybrid that I found in DEM, that said if you do have the water use, take the last 2 bills that you've got, if at least you've got 10 bills or so, take the last 2, the highest 2, and go by that. So I calculated that as well. It's obviously in the summer. It's the last bill we just got, the highest use bill, and I think that came out to 3.1 EDUs. The bottom line of this discussion is no matter how you look at this, I think that the number we had that the council approved in 2007 of 5 for the big building and 2 for the small building is very equitable, both to the town and it's very fair to me. I am not about to come here tonight and look at you people and say to you that you should really be charging me at 1.1 and 3.1 EDUs. That would be, in my estimation, outrageous to a very good entity that's been very good to my tenants and my building, and I want to do like kind. So all I'm asking you is not that we go to some crazy numbers, that we go back to the 2007 numbers of 5 and 2 EDUs for the 2 buildings. I have to tell you this as well. The smaller building is serviced by a well, so we had to use those calculations. I don't have water use calculations in that simply because we don't purchase our water from that. But that is it in an overview of what I'm asking this council to do if they feel that that is equitable, is return back to the prior 5 and 2 EDUs.
Mr. President,
Councilman Zawinski?
I need to ask Mr. Gasparo, Mr. Gasparo, right?
Yes, that's correct.
A couple of questions, and then I'm going to ask the technical questions.
Okay.
One, are you a resident of the town?
No, I am not.
That's too bad, because we certainly could use you on board.
You humble me. Thank you very much.
No, you humble me.
You people all deserve
You humble
all
me.
the accolades you get. You've worked hard for this town.
With your command of the sewer, how it's built, you ought to be admired for that. And also, when I was listening to you speak about the medical side, 250 gallons per physician. The physician may not be in that building, but they have a physician's assistant who's carrying on those duties. So for you to say that's 250, you were gracious enough to say we'll have a physician in each building, even though there was one bouncing back and forth.
Correct.
Water use goes on whether the physician's there because there's a physician's assistant. Same thing with dental. If the dentist is not, the hygienist is working. And I was waterboarded the other day at my dentist, so I know that there's a lot of water. But basically, to our council members, within our packet, it's dated November 19, 2014, and it's submitted by the Sewer Board Commission Secretary. I went back into the minutes. We don't have the minutes of November 19th. But from Patricia Paul, Sewer Commission Secretary, during their meeting, they discussed William P. Gaspar sewer use fee appeal for 63-63 and 69-75 Eddie Dowling Highway. I'm going to read this into the record if you don't mind. Motion by Mr. Murphy, second by Mrs. Sheridan, voting unanimously on a roll call vote. To make a recommendation, I'm having a problem tonight. To make a recommendation. Would you please? No trouble hearing me though, right? To make a recommendation to the town council to change equivalent dwelling units EDUs at 63-67 Eddie Dowling Highway to 5 in parentheses EDUs, and 69-75 Eddie Dowling Highway to 2 in parentheses 2 EDUs, and retro to July 1st, 2014. This was submitted unanimously, submitted to the sewer commission, unanimously voted on a roll call vote. Mr. President, I would make the motion that we approve Mr. Gasparo's request to make the EDUs at 63-67 Eddie Dowling Highway 5, and to change the EDUs back to originally, both of these are being changed back, at 69-75 Eddie Dowling Highway to 2 EDUs. That's a motion. Oh, excuse me, retroactive to July 1st, 2014. That's a motion.
May I second the motion? Second by Councilman Alta. Discussion? None? Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Alter?
Yes.
Ms. Alves? Yes. Mrs. Nadeau?
Yes.
Mr. Zalinski?
Yes.
Mr. Boucher?
Yes. Thank you, Mrs. Sparrow. I'll tell you, I read this over several times. Very technical. Like I said, geez, want to serve on a sewer commission?
Thank you anyway. And I have to thank my son who's sitting here because I can't type on a computer, so he did all the heavy lifting on this and the typing and all that, so it was with his assistance.
Oh, it was a very, very well put together case.
Thank you all, and I wish all of you and all here happy holidays to all. And thank you very much for your time tonight. I know you're very busy and you're very gracious.
Mr. Gasparo, your son's first name?
His name is Phil Gaspar.
Phil, welcome. You have a wonderful mentor there. You're going to learn a lot.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Be as gracious as your dad, and you should be as successful as your dad. It's a pleasure to meet you in this circumstance.
A pleasure meeting all of you. Thank you again.
Merry Christmas.
Thank you.
Merry
Have a good evening. Thank you.
Agenda item C, this discussion by council, vote on other action to amend the sewer ordinance. The authorization for signature.
Mr. President, if I may, we have the ordinance, we have the rewriting of the ordinance in front of us, proposed for sewer amendment. I believe the fee is $8,900 for the Horsley Witten Group. Anybody correct me if I'm wrong, please. Also on the November 19th meeting of the Sewer Commission, under the pen of the Sewer Commission Secretary, Patricia Paul, I'll read this. Subject was Horsley Witten's Sewer Assessment Evaluation Contract. Motion by Mr. Winkleman, seconded by Mr. Murphy, and voted unanimously on a roll call vote to accept Horsley Witten's Sewer Assessment Evaluation Contract as amended and to move forward and recommend to the town council for approving, assuming that the price stays the same within the contract. So they don't say how much the price was. Is the sewer commission here?
Maura Beck, North Smithfield Water and Sewer Coordinator. The price did not increase at all in the proposal. Initially, the town council back over in the spring did approve $10,400 to be paid or allotted for this proposal. This proposal came in at $8,900, and with the few revisions that we did ask for, the sewer commission asked for, it remained at $8,900.
That being said, Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion to approve Horsley Witten's contract to rewrite the Smithfield paying the amount of $8,900.
Motion on the floor. Do I hear a second? Second second by Councilwoman Alves. Any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Alden.
Yes.
Ms. Alves. Mrs. Nadeau.
Yes.
Mr. Swansky.
Yes.
Mr. Boucher.
Yes.
Concede.
Is it also authorized, we need to vote for the authorization to set the signature?
So moved.
Chair seconds.
Second.
Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Walter.
Yes.
Ms. Alves. Yes. Mrs. Nadeau.
Yes.
Mr. Swansky.
Yes.
Mr. Boucher.
Yes. Okay, item 9B. The amendment to the rules of order of the council. Dealing with the business.
Excuse me, if I'm following this right, you're saying number 10, new business, correct? D?
Yes. D is in David.
Thank you. Delphi, thanks.
Madam Clerk, can you read the item, please? Yes, number 17.
This is actually at the request of Mrs. Nadeau. The town clerk with the assistance and approval of the president, and this is the new portion, or his or her designate, shall prepare and must be printed for the information of the members of the town council and administration, a document in which there will be a definite statement or summary of all ordinances, resolutions, orders, and other business to be considered at each meeting of the town council. The town clerk shall maintain a record of all business acted upon by the town council, and only business contained in the docket shall appear. This docket will be prepared and available by 4 p.m. on the third business day prior, in parentheses, Thursday for a Monday meeting. This was actually Mrs. Nadeau's proposal.
Well, a little dialogue here. So basically, the president, whomever the president may be in this, will have, say, the president's traveling and he's in community, you'd be able to take care of the agenda with working with the town clerk, correct? Is that how the reason for this?
The reason for this is because I'm available 24/7 and my computer is attached to me 24/7.
Yeah.
And I have the ability to communicate with Deb within 5 minutes. So this gives the ability to have the town council and the town clerk work together to create the agenda in a timely fashion. So in the case of our current town council, our president is on the road and therefore cannot pull over to take notes and email Deb for anything, email the town clerk for anything that might need to be added to the agenda while I can.
So basically, we'll follow the rest of the town operating procedures. 2 council members wish, if they need to contact, President Boucher is not available, they will contact you. 2 council members want to put something on the agenda. You, with the help of the town clerk, will be able to put that on the town agenda, correct?
Correct.
Yes?
Yes.
Okay.
Also, to a little background on this, I know other councils have basically, council presidents have basically assigned it to something, but nothing informal. So I just want to put this in a formal setting, so this way, if you have any questions, just.
I just have a question, that's why.
Just as
we
a
would have
reference.
access to Councilor
Absolutely.
Nadeau to, if 2 of us wish to put something on. Basically, follow Robert's rules and everything else. But it's very efficient.
If you want that rule, my suggestion is to put it in here.
This is what we're going to do.
No, I mean, the rule of having 2 council people, put something on the agenda.
Yeah, no, I can't remember, because we have a number of steps in here. Is this following our operating procedures? Is this the one? Do we have a copy of that? Well, Solicitor Labate, if we could do some verbiage here, basically, and to adhere to the rules of council procedure that is established and accepted by council, I'd be okay with that. I can't hear you, Paul, that what?
It's not in the rules right now.
Okay.
Two people call for a vote is in there, but my position is it's three people right now.
Well, there's always been sort of the operating practice of previous town councils. If two council members wish to have something added to an agenda, they would do that. Because in the past, there's been, maybe the council president was unavailable or whatever, so it would take two council members either verbally to contact the town clerk or to send an email. So,
And just so you know, that was not my opinion in the past.
so yeah, you want a majority, but I would like to operate under two council members wishing to have something put on the agenda. You know, strange things happen. People may not agree with what those two council members, at least it'll be brought forward for public to hear it. So I'd like to have that included in there.
It's just a matter of good government.
Yeah, I believe so.
So I have no objection to that.
Mr. President, I think actually it is in the ordinances that it only requires two
Yeah.
council members.
It does.
It's not in the rules of council, I think it's in the
Okay,
ordinances.
I know I saw it, it is written somewhere. So just to make sure that we have that. If the council president's going to not advocate, but to allow someone else to take care of during busy periods, well, I'm okay with that. Just want to make sure that we know that the process will continue before we go. Thank you, Mr.
Mr.
President.
President, so who would we contact if we want to put something on the agenda? Would we contact you or would we contact Mr. President?
You can contact Mrs. Ann.
So you don't approve anything that goes onto the agenda?
No, what I'm saying is that from a standpoint is that if you deem it appropriate to be placed on the agenda for discussion, I have no problem with that. I'm not going to stymie any debate. I just want people to know that it's just keeping open government, nothing more. Is there any other questions? Hearing none? Council, for your motion?
Hang on, no. Councilor Adams, were you expressing concern that maybe the designee would be totally in control of the agenda?
Yeah,
Because I'm fearful of that myself.
I
Not
just-
that it's Roseanne, but somebody else in the future.
Well, I'm just thinking the president of the council is usually the one that builds the agenda and approves what goes on the agenda. And we've always gone to the president, so I just wasn't sure how the chain of command was going to go. If we go through Mrs. Nadeau and the president isn't even aware of what's on the agenda, or do we have to go through two and now we're going through numerous people? Do we get ourselves into an issue there? I just want to know how it's going to work and if it's going to be, if it's something that's going to get us into an issue. That's all.
I share that, and that's why initially I said at least two council members could put something on to avoid, and again, it's no reflection on Councilor Nadeau. This is something we haven't done before.
Right.
So it's almost, it's an abdication of power.
It
Mr.
just
President.
seems
You have
like
to be
as a
careful with this.
president, you don't want to be building the agenda. I don't know.
No, I understand that, but because of my job, I travel, I'm on the highways and byways, and it's most difficult, I don't have access to a computer during the course of the day. So that's why, given the fact that Councilman Nadeau has basically the ability to do this, that's why I thought it would be better for the council if I did this.
Well, Mr. President, if I may, there would be a time lapse if they did go through you, but nonetheless, what would prevent you from determining if something goes on the agenda and then having you simply phone Mrs. Nadeau, who would put it on the agenda electronically? In other words, why not consider a situation in which a town councilor would contact you as president of the town council to put something on the agenda and then have you at your earliest opportunity, and regardless of how your situation during the day, it would seem to me it would be possible within 24 hours for you to contact Mrs. Nadeau Is time of the essence that important that, that they go directly to Mrs. Nadeau, or can they not simply go to you first?
My concern is that if something's reaching near the deadline, and it's all about timeliness, so we would make the agenda, I thought that it might be wise that, to designate Mrs. Nadeau.
Well, you're assuming everything is going to be just before deadline. I would think if there is an issue to be put on the agenda, it would not be at the last minute. That 90 to 100% of the agenda suggestions, there would be no time is of the essence issue, so that they could go through you in a timely fashion and have you make the decision to put it on the agenda, and then contact Mrs. Nadeau to put it on. In other words, so that you don't, in effect, concede control of the agenda, and concede the authority of your job as chair. I greatly appreciate the technical assistance which Mrs. Nadeau does. I think it's a wonderful example of division of labor and of delegation of things. But nonetheless, I would think there would still be no reason why, for instance, if I had an item that I have been thinking about to put on the agenda, why I cannot simply phone you, and then you at your earliest opportunity, doesn't necessarily have to be within the next hour, just simply phone Mrs. Nadeau and contact her, so that she can perform the duties which she does very well, and you can perform the duty of judging what should be on the agenda. Does that sound reasonable?
No, I fully agree.
Is the problem with that a rolling quorum? It shouldn't be, right?
It shouldn't be, as long as you're just setting the agenda. If you start talking about the item in question, then it could be a rolling.
Okay, so then, Councilman Alter, there should not be a problem with what you're proposing, where if you were to call President Boucher and voice your opinion of something that you would like to be placed on the agenda, and at his earliest convenience, he call me and ask me to put it on the agenda, I don't see a problem with that at all. What we're trying to do is streamline the process between the town council and the town hall. Deb and I can collaborate using, Madam Clerk and I can collaborate using Google Drive. We share documents, we email each other constantly throughout the day, and it's really for that purpose and not to take any power, if you will, away from our president or change the lineup of us.
If I may, Mr. President, the more dialogue I hear, the more I'm concerned with the application, your position, your authority. It's great that Councilor Nadeau would wish to step in. I listened to Councilor Alter articulate that it's a phone call away. If it really is that important, it can be done. If something pops up that's an emergency, a council member under the scheduling process could call another council member and say, we need this to happen. 2 council members could call the town clerk. I just like the way it's worked for all these years. We haven't had a problem. I could see this getting contentious, maybe going legal if we involve another councilor with documents going back and forth, changing of the schedule. You were elected by the people, she was elected by the people, you were elected by council to be the council president. I'm sorry, I don't think I can support the application of the crafting of the agenda. I believe that lies with you. In your absence, the vice president, and to coordinate those efforts with the town clerk. That's just the way it's always worked. That's the way I feel. I'm not averse to revisiting this 5-6 months from now, but right now it's not something that I personally would want to vote in the affirmative for.
Like I said, the whole purpose of this was basically to make certain that everybody had a say in the council. And if I couldn't be reached at phone, 'cause I've had places where I've had basically bad cell phone reception, like down in, when I was driving down to Forster. And dropped phone call, dropped cell, because of poor cell phone receptions. And again, it was just a matter of that, not having the technology with me, so to speak.
If I may.
But I mean, but I said, but I know other councils, what they have done, and from past years, was that the council president basically gave somebody the agenda to do. Without, I don't want to get into specific names.
Because to my knowledge, so I'm entering into my 6th term as a council member. I can't recall, or I was unaware that the council president during that time period gave that to another council member to do. It's a phone call.
If you're uncomfortable with it, then therefore...
I personally am, Mr. President. I don't know about anybody else. But you can call it, you know what, just for, because if I may suggest, we just call a vote and see how everybody else feels. That doesn't mean we can't revisit this in 5, 6 more months, but right now, I'm not comfortable with this. I'm one. There's 5 people.
Fine. If this is your wishes, the motion can be withdrawn.
No, it's just me, Mr. President.
No. No, I'm just saying is that I thought it was a good idea, to assist the other council people. It's not an abdication of policy of the chair. It's just the fact is that just to make sure that there was a process, that there would be no gaps, and that the agenda would go on no matter what.
Yeah, but President, if I may, within a 24-hour period, in spite of the fact that you might hit dead spots along the way during the day, nonetheless, you can be reached within 24 hours. You will answer the phones. I mean, that's been my experience in dealing with you. And the instances of dead spots are not the usual. Usually, there is no problem in communicating intermittently during the day with you. So I think you're fully capable of handling agenda issues and then simply phoning Mrs. Nadeau to place it on the agenda with her IT expertise and her facility of having it right there. I think this is really a perfect example of teamwork. And I think the fact that we're working as a team together, using the skills that we each have, is a tremendous asset. And I think it's the way we should move. But I would not exaggerate the inability to communicate to a point where it destroys your central role in setting the agenda. We have to have one person that coordinates it. And I agree with Councilman Swalensky that you should not advocate that role of setting the agenda and being the one to give direction to Mrs. Nadeau. And I greatly appreciate Mrs. Nadeau's willingness to assist you in this. I think it's a wonderful example of teamwork that I think will work very well for us as we go forward. So if, for instance, I have, or Kim Alves has an agenda item, we can phone you, and even if there might be difficulty getting to you, we would get to you most likely within a 24-hour period. And the instances of a last-minute problem would be, to me, very much the exception. And unless, of course, you don't want to be the chair, in which case possibly we may want to make a change.
No, that's not the case, Council. I just wanted to make sure that everything was going to run smoothly and the like.
I do have a question. And I'm going to try to phrase it as best as I possibly can. I guess I didn't realize how important the job of who puts items on the agenda is. I didn't think that that was, I knew it was a role of the president to work with the town clerk, but I did not understand that it would be a problem if any one of us wanted to put anything on the agenda. I don't like the idea of someone else, I mean, I was voted in as all of the other members of this council. I don't like the idea of having someone have the ability to tell me, no, I don't want to talk about that on the agenda. I don't want to have a demonstration of a munis project coming up, or I don't think that that's a good idea, to squelch the voice of any one of us. And I don't see why having someone else do the paperwork with the town clerk takes any power or any work away from our president. Our president, under the Robert's Rules of Order, serves as a servant to the board, not as our boss. So unless I'm missing something, I really don't see what the big deal is.
Well, Mr. President, if I may, the whole purpose of having a president of the town council is to have someone in control. Otherwise, we were all presidents, and the whole idea of a president and a vice chair is to provide some kind of unity of command, which you would not have if each of us had equal authority as the president. So there is reason for this, and I suggest that as chairman, you set the agenda with the advice of other members, and that Mrs. Nadeau simply assist in the transfer, the technical transfer of information to the town clerk. And I so move. I move that the town council vote to, as a matter of procedure, to have the town council president actually set the agenda with the assistance of town councilors in fulfillment of his role as town council president, with the assistance of the technical assistance of Mrs. Nadeau. And I ask for a second.
Second.
Any discussion?
I do have a discussion. My technical expertise does not make me a secretary, so I will not jot down the thoughts of one council member just to be the intermediary between the council and the town clerk. If the wishes of the council is for the president to maintain the agenda, then the president will maintain the agenda and go directly to the town clerk.
Mr. President, I volunteer to assist you in emailing the agenda request to Debbie, fully capable of emailing 6 days a week.
Mrs. Todd doesn't work 6 days a week, so I'm trying to,
Yes,
I
I
tried to
do.
interject. You probably work 7, I know. We have a motion in a second. We can revisit this in the future.
Yes.
Mr. President, I know we have a first and a second, but what's before you is Rule 17.
Right.
I don't know how either, I mean, it can be accepted, rejected, or amended. And you have a motion on the floor that I don't know if it moves 17 either way or what it actually does with 17. So 17's in place already. And there's a proposed amendment that's before you, but 17's in place. If you want to make an amendment to 17, then you can. But I know there's a motion on the floor, but it doesn't interact with 17. Correct.
So you need a motion, how to word 17?
If you want to change the wording of 17, you can do that.
So to
Or
keep it as it was without this underlined,
then you leave it alone. You don't make any motions. The other thing is, I just want to, I know that Ms. Todd said that there's an ordinance out there that says 2 council people can put things on an agenda. It has been my opinion in the past that it's 3. So if you want 2, or if you want 1, now might be the time to look at that amendment. But that's totally up to the council.
so the past rules don't say anything about
No.
just 2 council members?
But I just checked the charter, I didn't see it in the charter. It may be in the code of ordinances, but believe me, I yield to Ms. Todd when it comes to that. So I don't want to say it's not there. What I'm saying is my opinion in the past is I haven't found it.
Well, I've seen it written as too, that's why I said, is that in our operation? I know it's there, I've seen it. This town has operated under those rules, under those procedures successfully for probably decades now. So I would like to keep it at 2. This way, if there is a minority opinion, they can bring it forward. And as Mr. President said earlier, it's open government and there is voices to be heard.
So
I would like to keep it at 2. Are you suggesting we insert that here?
What I am suggesting is that you have 17 before you.
Yeah.
I don't know that it's up to the council as to deal with or his or her designee. You can keep that in, take it out, but I would put at the end 2 council people can contact the clerk to add any item on the agenda to the agenda. So that if the president, my concern is that if the president says no, and there's 2 council people want something on the agenda, it should be on the agenda.
That has.
I think state law, if I recall, state law may override it as well, but I'm not, if you put it here, at least we'll cover it.
Okay.
But that's up to the will of the council.
So we had a motion, we had a second. Do people want to, no, I'm sorry, Mr. President.
No, it's okay.
Do we want to withdraw those motions? I have no idea at this point what the will of my fellow council members are.
Well, the purpose of this was not to
I understand.
create any issues, but nevertheless, I guess there was a first and a second, so I guess we're going to have to vote on the motion.
Or they can withdraw.
Or it can be withdrawn.
Yeah.
Should the
May
original
make
sponsor...
if that's their intent, withdraw the motion, and the second would withdraw their motion. Then we're back to square one. Section 17 has not changed at all. And we're going to have to come back and revisit section 17. If at this point, because it's on the agenda, if council members wish to change the verbiage under section 17, now would be the time, if people felt like I do, to include the wording in there that 2 council members may add an item to the agenda.
I have a request for information. Why would a president ever not put something on the agenda?
It's happened before.
Why?
Because they block public dialogue. They do not allow issues to be brought before the public. It's happened.
This is not,
It's happened in North Smithfield, so please don't ask me to give you a specific.
I won't ask for any specifics. I just
we're
know that our council
I know.
will not work that way.
We all believe that when we start. We do. And we all hold the highest hopes that we'll work in conjunction. I think Mr. Alden is very articulate in his analysis of this. So, right now we have a motion.
Okay, so it's my motion. Is it? Okay.
Oh, it's my motion that the town council president shall set the agenda and with two council members may add a new item on the agenda and that he may designate an assistant to communicate the added item to the town clerk. I think that covers everything.
That was not the motion.
That wasn't?
No. May I suggest, Mr. President, that the main maker, it's entirely up to them, if they wish to withdraw their motion, the second withdraw their motion, and we start afresh. Does that, and then we can come in and make motions to either leave section 17 as is, or we can make a motion. We can take that vote if you want to, too. You don't have to amend. I mean, we got a lot of options here. So the other thing would be that if you wanted to come back and revisit section 17, to add that, the two council members, as it stands now, the verbiage is, the town clerk with the assistance and approval of the president or his or her designee shall prepare and cause, not the existing what's proposed, or his or her designee shall prepare and cause to be printed for the information. Okay. That's what's before us. There's a motion to vote. At this point, I don't even know what the motion was. That's how this is getting convoluted. So I would say that in an effort to clean this up and to be clear, I would just hope that the main motion maker and the second withdraw their motion. We start afresh, and then we look at it. Do we keep section 17 as is? That can be, there's no motion needed for that. We just let it go. If you wish to change the verbiage on section 17, then what a council member would have to do would make a motion to include the verbiage to the effect that two council members may add an item to the agenda. I hope I've articulated that. I don't know how else to say.
Mr. President, I withdraw my motion.
Withdraw your second.
Second withdrawn.
Second, Councilwoman Alves. Roll call vote, please.
Well, there's no
I'm
motion.
sorry.
Okay. So with that being said, Mr. President, right now, currently, section 17 is as written. It hasn't changed. I would like to make a motion at this point to add verbiage in there to include two council members may contact the town clerk to add an item to the agenda.
Second.
Second by Councilwoman Alves. Any discussion? If not, roll call vote, please.
Ms. Alves, Mr. Alter, excuse me.
Yes.
Ms. Alves? Yes. Mrs. Nadeau?
Yes.
Mr. Swansky?
Yes.
Mr. Boucher?
Yes.
That easy, Mr. President, is it?
Now we
still have to pass 17 as amended.
We have to pass 17.
I'd like to make a motion to pass 17 as amended.
Second.
Second by Councilwoman Alves. Any discussion? If not, roll call vote.
Mr. Alter?
Yes.
Ms. Alves? Yes. Mrs. Nadeau?
Yes.
Mr. Swansky?
Yes.
Mr. Boucher?
Yes. Brings us to item agenda E, under new business. Discussion by council, vote or other action of resignation from Budget Committee, Mrs. Nadeau.
Mr. President, as we are aware, Mrs. Nadeau won the election to the school committee, so she's stepping down from the duties of the budget committee. I would like to make a motion that through the town clerk, the town council sends a letter of gratitude for Mrs. Nadeau's service on the budget committee, and wish her the best of luck on her new elected position in the school committee.
Second by Councilwoman Nadeau. Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Alter?
Yes.
Ms. Alves? Yes. Mrs. Nadeau?
Yes.
Mr. Swansky?
Yes.
Mr. Boucher?
Yes. Item F.
Planning Board Chair Dean Naylor and I want to withdraw this item from the agenda. We thought that when the call went out for attendance reports, that this would be handled as a town-wide issue, and that the town council would make general recommendations on policy. When I added the information on how our internal regulations our rules allow us to manage quorums, but just to have you understand that there are alternatives to this ordinance. We meet twice a month, which means that 3 absences would not be sufficient. That might be appropriate for a board that meets once a month or quarterly or as needed. But as a result of this, I would just like to withdraw this. You can consider the larger issue at a later time, but we've resolved the problem, I think, with our own member. Dean is here, please.
Dean Naylor, Chairman of the Planning Board, I'm in full support of withdrawing this item. The attendance issue with the one member is questionable as to whether it actually met the ordinance and met the requirements of the ordinance, and as it has been resolved internally, I think it's appropriate to withdraw.
Mr. President, may I ask a question of Chairperson Nadeau and Planning Board, Director of Planning, Mr. Erickson. Mr. Erickson, this agenda item was under your name. You spoke about an attendance policy. How did that come about? What was the dialogue? Is this, has this permeated other boards? Is this a concern? And why was your name on it? I'm just curious. Why would it?
There was a general email to all the boards and commissions that gave them section 20-2.1. I had never seen it before, and I was not one of the people mailed. Is actually 20-22-20.1, part of B. The original line for that, which was not included, it shall be the specific duty of each chairperson and the general duty of each member of said boards, commissions, committees, etc., to supervise, control, and mandate the attendance of each of its members at its meeting. And I reviewed the last 6 months for Chairman Naylor. He submitted. When I submitted my memo, as I usually do when I have more than one thing to speak about, I included the issue of how we manage our quorums with this advance notice policy, and that was the issue that we were really concerned with. We could handle it internally, and we did.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate it. Mr. Naylor, thank you for coming out this evening. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Agenda G. Assessors Board of Review.
Madam Administrator writing something over it. You better. Let's get Etch-a-Sketch and we can.
Conservation?
She has one for number 2, but they're not there yet.
So, if I may, Mr. President, so under, the first thing under G is 1, Assessors Board of Review appointed by Town Council to a 3-year term that expires 12/1/17. I guess at this time, I do not have anybody that I would like to nominate at this time. So if no one, Mr. President, unless you do or someone does, we could just move on and go through them like that. Does anybody have a nomination? And we just work our way through it as we go one by one by one, and we do the process.
Because there was one.
Was there one?
One application.
Well, I did provide a list of those who did wish to be reappointed.
That's correct. That's Town Clerk in Rhode Island. So the
individual is Gene Cole.
Yeah, Mr. President, it's always been mine as a council member, if someone's serving on the board and wishes to continue, to renominate. So if it's, I would like to make the nominee to reappoint Gene to that board of review.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilwoman Alves. Any discussion? Your roll call, please.
Mr. Alter?
Yes.
Ms. Alves? Yes. Mrs. Nadeau?
Yes.
Mr. Smolenski?
Yes.
Mr. Boucher?
Yes. Item 2 is the Conservation Commission.
Mr. President, I believe in the packet we have some correspondence from Carol Ayala, who wishes to.
This is the appointment by the town administrator.
Oh, forgive me, with TC approval.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So, if I may speak on her behalf, Under B, the one vacancy for the 3-year term that expires 12/1/16, she's nominating Mike Kalo.
Make a motion to accept this, accept the nomination.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Okay, second by Councilman Alter. Any discussion? If not, roll call vote, please.
Mr. Alter?
Yes.
Ms. Alves? Yes. Mrs. Nato?
Yes.
Mr. Swansky?
Yes.
Mr. Boucher?
Yes. Economic Development Commission?
Excuse me,
We
Mr.
have
President.
I'm sorry.
There are other
Yeah,
terms that are expired, and I do have one, Mr. Della Santa, I never did hear from him.
I received an email from him this morning that said he did send you one, but apparently didn't go through. And he said he wants to be reappointed.
Because, yeah, I think there was 11
If I may, Mr. President?
Yeah.
May I pose a question? Mr. Swansky is the chairperson of Conservation. Is Carol Ayala seeking reappointment as well?
Yes, she is.
Yes.
It's in the packet.
And
Yeah, okay, I just want to make sure.
someone else.
Yes,
Who's the third?
Should be
Eric
me.
Piet, Scott Perry.
Eric.
Smith.
Eric Piet.
Jeffrey Delasan and Scott Perry.
And Scott Perry, correct.
Oh, we have 4 3-year terms that
It's
expire.
3-year terms,
Yeah,
4 of them
yeah.
just expired December 1st.
If I may, Mr. President, to hopefully, without convoluting it, because I have a tendency to do that, if I may make a motion to reappoint all those that are currently serving and wish to continue serving, I think that would cover it. I'd make that motion to reappoint the folks that are currently serving, and the new appointment is Mike Kalo,
Yes.
and that wraps it, correct? Am I missing anything? So I'll make a motion to reappoint the 4 3-year terms that expire in 12/1/17. Everybody that's currently serving, motions to reappoint them.
Second.
Second by Councilwoman Nato. Any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Alter?
Yes.
Ms. Alves? Yes. Mrs. Nato?
Yes.
Mr. Swansky?
Yes.
Mr. Boucher?
Yes. Item number 3, Economic Development Commission.
That's a no from Madam Administrator.
There's no appointment, there's not tonight? Okay. Item agenda number 4, Historic District Commission.
I would like to make a motion to reappoint Jeffrey Fontaine to the Historic District Commission.
Here a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Zawinski. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Alter?
Yes.
Ms. Alves? Yes. Mrs. Nato?
Yes.
Mr. Swansky?
Yes.
Mr. Boucher?
Yes. Item agenda 5 is the Juvenile Hearing Board.
Mr. President?
Town Administrator's appointee.
She doesn't have anyone.
Is there?
There was 2.
Town council.
It was a Marianne Violet Cardello and Marie Walco.
Looking to get reappointed, right? Marion Cardell is looking for reappointment.
One's for the town council, one's by the town administrator.
Mr. President? I'd like to reappoint Mary Ann Violet Cardello to a 3-year term, the Juvenile Hearing Board.
Second.
Second by Councilman Nato. Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Alter?
Yes.
Ms. Alves? Yes. Mrs. Nato?
Yes.
Mr. Swansky?
Yes.
Mr. Boucher?
Yes. Parks and Recreation.
Mr. President, we received in our packet several folks are wishing to get reappointed to the Parks and Recreation, and I can't rattle the names off at the moment.
It's Julie Pitts, Mark Gagnon,
Yep.
Brian Barry, Philip Paul, Peter Dowling, and Robert Cesario.
I'd like to make a...
President, excuse me, it's a town administrator appointment.
Sorry, we're trying to steal your... Oh, so sorry, Town Administrator.
Sorry.
The town administrator would like to reappoint all of those and add Rob Skinner.
Mr. President, I'd like to make the motion that the town administrator appoint those folks. I don't know how else to word that, that they're probably just looking for approval, yes. That's the motion.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion? I know there was two people involved who were seeking the position. Theodore Soley, he worked for Kentucky Parks and Recreation, and Bob Skinner. And this was, I looked at Mr. Soley's background. I thought it would be a wonderful appointment for the board. But that's my personal opinion. Maybe I was on the board in the past. So to come back again?
She wants someone new.
She wants someone new. Okay, fine. We need to have a roll call vote, please.
Mr. Alter?
Yes.
Ms. Alves? Yes. Mrs. Nato?
Yes.
Mr. Zalinski?
Yes.
Mr. Boucher?
Yes. Planning board. I'm sorry, personal. Sorry, no, I have agenda number 7.
She doesn't have it for tonight. It's not an administrator.
Town council. Planning board. Motion to table.
Yeah, motion to table planning board until such time as we can advertise or simply have a press release asking for members to volunteer for planning board, so we have a larger selection.
Okay. Is that your motion, Councilor?
That's a.
I'll second that.
Mr. President, may I comment that,
The motion to table has already been made.
motion table,
Yes, it takes precedent.
you're correct.
Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Alter?
Yes.
Ms. Alves? Yes. Nato?
No.
Mr. Zalinski?
Yes.
Mr. Boucher?
Yes.
Mrs. Hamilton?
Mr. President,
Yes.
the town administrator would like to go back to the personnel board. It's okay. She wants to reappoint the current 3 members.
Was it Renee Rabko, Mel Rosarian, and Michael Conley?
Looking for a motion to approve? Yes. So moved. To accept, we don't approve, we accept.
Second.
Second by Councilwoman Nato. Any discussion? If not, roll call vote, please.
Mr. Alter?
Yes.
Ms. Alves? Yes. Mrs. Nato?
Yes.
Mr. Zalinski?
Yes.
Mr. Boucher?
Yes. Public, item agenda number 9, Public Safety Commission.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion, is that a TA appointment?
No, to Town Council.
All right, I'd like to make a motion to reappoint Mr. John Sutherland, who's been serving in that capacity.
We hear a second?
Second.
Second by Councilwoman Alves. Any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Alter?
Yes.
Ms. Alves? Yes. Mrs. Nato?
Yes.
Mr. Zalinski?
Yes.
Mr. Boucher?
Yes. Item agenda number 11, Sewer Commission, 5-year term. I'm sorry. Redevelopment Agency, it's a town council appointment.
Mr. President?
Yes.
I'd like to reappoint Robert Knoll to the redevelopment agency for a 5-year term.
So move second. Do we hear a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Zawinski and Nato. Any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Alter?
Yes.
Mrs. Alves? Yes. Mrs. Nato?
Yes.
Mr. Zalinski?
Yes.
Mr. Boucher?
Yes. Item number 11, Sewer Commission, Town Council appointment on a 5-year term. This time, I'd like to make a motion to table this at the present time.
Second.
This is, I think we should have, would also like that to be advertised out as well, so we can get more diverse people involved.
Yeah, just to get Sparrow.
Yeah.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second. Okay, roll call vote, please.
Mr. Alter?
Yes.
Ms. Alves? Yes. Mrs. Nato?
Yes.
Mr. Zalinski?
Yes.
Mr. Boucher?
Yes. Okay, zoning board.
Mr. President,
Yes.
I would like to nominate Mr. Mario D'Annunzio to the 1 5-year term that expires 12/1/19.
I second the motion.
Okay, roll call vote, please. I'm sorry, any discussion? If not, roll call vote, please.
Mr. Alter?
Yes.
Mrs. Alves? Yes. Mrs. Nato?
Yes.
Mr. Zalinski?
Yes.
Mr. Boucher?
Yes. There's 2 1-year terms for the first and second alternate. And first, I'd like to nominate Vincent Marcantonio as first alternate. I hear a second.
Second. I think we're gonna trip over that second.
Okay.
Yeah, they don't beat
I'll
each
beat
other.
you.
Second by Councilman
Dress up as little dress.
Zalinski and Nadeau. Okay, well, any discussion? If not, roll call vote, please.
Mr. Alter?
Yes.
Ms. Alves? Yes. Mrs. Nato?
Yes.
Mr. Zalinski?
Yes.
Mr. Boucher?
Yes.
Mr. President,
Go ahead.
I'd like to appoint Mr. Robert Legere as a second alternate on the zoning board for a 1-year term.
Your second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Zalinski. Any discussion? If not, roll call vote, please.
Mr. Alter?
Yes.
Ms. Alves? Yes. Mrs. Nato?
Yes.
Mr. Zalinski?
Yes.
Mr. Boucher?
Yes. Last time, school committee, 1 2-year term by the town administrator, and 1 2-year term by the town council.
Motion to table.
Chair seconds. Any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Alter?
Yes.
Ms. Alves? Yes. Mrs. Nato?
Yes.
Mr. Zalinski?
Yes.
Mr. Boucher?
Yes.
Mr. President,
Yes.
I'd like to recommend that you take from the table the planning board nominations because we will not have a quorum. And as you all know, we have a very serious resubmission coming back before the board. We need to have a quorum. We need to meet with Judge Williams. This will have a very destructive effect and could potentially lead to constructive approval. I would suggest that you at least consider placing Angela Puglisi into one of the full-time positions. Angela has been the recording secretary for several years. She understands this better than anybody. She's a specialist in environmental design and building technology at New England Institute of Technology in the library. I think if we can just at least do that, we can move forward. And I will also say that I cannot imagine someone coming forward with more capability than she has.
Point of information. The motion, when we tabled the planning board, was that for a later time or a later date? It wasn't, it was just the table?
I think we had dialogue from Councilor Alter that you wished to post it to make an announcement, which also we should broaden it out to the sewer commission as well. But that's the motion that I voted on after hearing Councilor Alter's recommendation that we put an ad or a press release in Valley Breeze looking to seek candidates. Yeah,
I would like to, can I make a motion?
Well,
table that, at least the planning board?
Sure, you were in the majority, yeah, so you can do that. Yeah, but I just wanted to say before you do it, I have Cynthia Roberts up for reappointment.
Yes, but
She's served on the
but
board.
She's an alternate.
she's an alternate. and her-
Does she wish to move up?
Yeah, she wishes to move up. So these are two people who are solid. I can't imagine finding a better person.
Mr. President, I can imagine more solid candidates. I can imagine engineers getting on the planning board, like we've had before, who know about construction. And I think the only way we can communicate with the public to find out who's out there and to get the very best people for our town is to advertise. Without a selection, how can we be sure we're getting the best people? I think we owe it to the people of this town to get the very best people. And we can't do that unless we have names, unless we communicate and we advertise that we're looking for this. Because an engineer could come forward. I can't imagine a civil engineer being less qualified than the two that the planning board director has suggested.
Mr. President, we do have an engineer on the planning board. I sent out today an alternate proposal for another engineer who is very talented. The issue is that we need to have diversity in the planning board. We have two women who are being proposed. One is already serving as an alternate, and your policy has been to keep the people who were already on there and want to continue. So, you know, I have no problem. You still have a second alternate. You have an engineer proposed for the first alternate. I have no problem with going out for advertising, but just give us a quorum, because you're the one that's risking constructive approval.
Right now, how many, what is the compromise?
Let's ask the council president, Mr. President, if I may suggest. We ask the council, excuse me, the planning board president to weigh in on this.
We will currently have.
Mr. Nadeau, speak, please.
We have
Jean Simone, who was a full member, has stepped down. And because of the number of years he has served, he could not be reappointed. Art Bassett was elected to the school committee, so he has had to step down. We have one alternate, Cynthia Roberts, who would be up for reappointment.
Mr. President, is Dr. Roberts, is he amenable to moving up as a full voting member of the planning board?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
So right now, we have Dr. Benoit as a member, myself as a member, Scott Lentz as a member, and one alternate, Cynthia Roberts, who is seeking reappointment and would be a member until replaced in some fashion. So that is four basically on board.
And it's a seven-member board?
Five-member board, two alternates.
Okay, so what I'm saying is that you have a quorum to go by going with the alternates.
We have a very tricky alternate situation where you have to have 3 members and 1 alternate. You can't use both alternates. And that means nobody else will be trained for the upcoming sit-down with Judge Williams.
Mr. President, if I may, as it was a unanimous vote taking to table this.
Actually, it wasn't.
It wasn't voted no?
I voted no.
So one of the 4 of us in the majority could make a motion to revisit this. I would be amenable to revisiting this. I would not vote to appoint a new appointee, I'll tell you right now, if we're going to do this. But if we open this up to a point, I would certainly have no problem appointing Dr. Roberts to a full-time voting member, if that was limited. But after that, I certainly would not want to appoint any new appointees until following the articulate points that Councilor Alter made, that we should open this up and try to attract people.
So, she's before she could, I'm sorry.
Mr. President, I can give you, either you can motion to reconsider or you can motion to take from the table. So whatever.
Well, out of abundance of caution, would it be best to take a motion to reconsider from those in the majority to reconsider this?
Yes,
As
as long as
opposed to
somebody
take
from the
from the
majority makes either motion, I'm comfortable.
Okay.
So either way.
I will make that motion to revisit and to remove this from being tabled for the opportunity to take a vote to appoint Dr. Cynthia Roberts to a full-time voting member on the planning board. That's a motion. No, okay, I motion to open it up, forgive me, I'm getting ahead of myself, yeah. I
Motion to reconsider.
Motion to reconsider is made. Looking for a second.
Chair seconds.
Okay. Mr.
Vote.
President?
Vote.
Okay,
Got to take a vote.
Voted.
roll call, please.
Mr. Alter?
Yes.
Ms. Alves? Yes. Mrs. Nato?
I voted no, so I wasn't in the majority.
Oh, okay,
Just vote.
Okay, yes.
Yeah, yes.
Mr. Zelinski?
Yes.
Mr. Boucher?
Yes.
Okay, so now it's reopened,
Okay.
so whatever you want to do.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion to appoint Dr. Cynthia Roberts to the position of full voting member on the North Smithfield Planning Board.
Do we hear a second?
Oh, thank you. Hang on. I gotta go back and find it. Where is it? One 5-year term that expires 12/1/16.
Yes.
Second.
Short term, but it's 5-year term.
Second by Councilwoman Nadeau. Any discussion?
Thank you, Mr. Radcliffe.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Alter?
Yes.
Ms. Alves? Yes. Mrs. Nato?
Yes.
Mr. Zelinski?
Yes.
Mr. Boucher?
Yes.
Mr. President, at this point, I'd like to make a motion to table appointments to planning board following the original motion that was made, I believe, by Mr. Alter. The motion.
And advertise.
To advertise.
And to advertise, yeah, following Mr. Alter's motion.
Mr. President, for the sake of clarity, how long would you like to have it advertised and where?
Valley Breeze.
For how long? What should be the due date?
The town administrator should take care of it.
Okay, Mr. President, for town administrator.
And, question, Mr. President, was this advertised in the Valley Breeze already? It was on the website and in the e-newsletter, okay.
Yeah, put it in print, please.
So we have voted by Councilman Zelinski to advertise it in Valley Breeze?
Yes, just basically follow what Mr. Alter articulated earlier, so, yes.
Do we hear a second?
I second.
Okay, second by Councilman Alter. Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Alter?
Yes.
Ms. Alves? Mrs. Nato?
Yes.
Mr. Zelinski?
Yes.
Mr. Boucher?
Yes. Okay, item agenda number 11. Executive session. There was
Oh, yeah, we already, executive session, okay.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion under item 11, executive session, North Smithfield Town Council, under Rhode Island General Laws 42-46-5, subsection A2, sessions pertaining to collective bargaining or litigation, or work sessions pertaining to collective bargaining or litigation. One, possible litigation in regards to Nicholson Associates Limited Liability Corporation Report, RE, tax assessors, tax collector's office. Let me make a motion to go into executive session.
Chair seconds. Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Alter?
Yes.
Ms. Alves?